Good morning, my internet friends. Welcome to the Medicare Cafe. You are very close to my face, and I'm excited about that. That is a good thing. And we are excited. I'm so excited for today's episode because it is only the second time we've ever done a remote session. Today, I am joined by my industry bestie, also just like my bestie in life, Mr. Will Pierce, who is the director of what is the exact title? We work together
Regional
for.
sales director.
Regional sales director. I knew director was in the title and I knew it was sales
Yeah.
related. And again, you and I work together. So this is strictly just a lack of
Yeah.
performance on my part. But Will, so excited to have you on. I was
I'm excited to
laughing.
be here.
I was laughing about like, what does this look like as being remote? And I'm willing to go remote and do, because like the vibe, you got to make sure you protect the vibes when it comes to Medicare Cafe. And if I can't
Yeah.
physically smack you, I'm putting a lot of trust on you. And so I said that there was two people I would ever be willing, and I say ever, ever's a strong word. Two people I am willing to do a remote episode with. One is me, because I was at Medicare Cafe and I
Yeah.
like me. So I'm willing to do it for myself. And then, of course, Mr. Will Pierce. So welcome to the show, Will. Tell me a little bit
Thank you for
about your
having me.
knowledge of Medicare Cafe. You and I have been working together. You started with us in 2017?
2018.
2018. I'm
Yeah.
very good at this. I host a lot of shows, I swear. What's your knowledge of the cafe? What do you think about the cafe? First
I think
time,
the
first time
cafe,
on.
first time guest, long time listener, as I think that's what people say here in the radio world when you call into
Yeah.
somewhere. I think it's like the epitome of what a Medicare podcast, what a Medicare live discussion should be. It really encompasses everything that our agents need to know to operate successful businesses and continue to grow in the space.
Edutainment too. We're kind of funny.
Yeah, is that a word?
It is now. I've used it for a
Okay.
while. Not all the jokes land, but it's not for you. It's for me. If I'm having a good time, that's really what my priorities are.
If Olivia's having a good time, we're all having a good
This
time.
is true.
So we just let her do her thing.
Well, tell me about your position as a regional sales director. Tell me a little bit about your experience and like why you being on. I know it's a big deal. People who know you, you're so huge on social media. When we were at Medicarians together a few weeks ago, so many people were coming up to me like, I see your content, I see your stuff, I see what you're doing, just posting on LinkedIn and stuff. But tell me a little bit about what your position is and how you help agents build empires. I said that kind
Yeah.
of tongue in cheek, but it's really true. You are responsible for a lot of agency and agents' growth in this space.
Yeah. So these days, my role as our regional sales director, I oversee about 18 states for us and kind of all encompassing their life cycles with us, right? Everything from having the conversations of why you're missing the boat if you're not working with senior marketing specialists, all the way through helping you continue to grow and take it to whatever those next stages are. And grow is a really loose term because that can mean 200 different things to 200 different people. So it allows me what I'm blessed with is the freedom to get to just talk to people
I
all
love
day
it.
long, have conversations about what makes people happy, what are they passionate about, and how can myself and we here at Senior Marketing Specialists elevate that and
Yeah.
continue to let you do more of what you love, making sure you're on the forefront of, changes going on, legal, compliance, regulatory, all the way through sales strategy discussion. So it's really great to get to be there with every step of the way with our agencies. It's been a huge blessing.
I love it. Very cool. And you have two babies and a gorgeous, wonderful, fantastic wife. So you like kind of live in the dream, kind of a very lucky man, but you've worked really hard to get where you're at right now.
Yeah, I'm so blessed in my life and in everything. I was telling this to someone we were having a dinner with at Medicarians of like I'd be nowhere without my wife and without like our family. So I'm so blessed. We've got a 2.5-year-old and my God, our youngest is going to be 1 next
That's
week.
wild.
So we are, in the thick of it. When I'm not helping our agents grow, I'm chasing those little
And
grimy
you're
hands around
helping
the house.
humans grow.
Yeah.
Quite literally. So what I wanted to talk to you about today, Will, and again, we talked about this of wanting to get you on the show because you are doing so much. You've helped so many people. What I wanted to talk about today, and for those of us, and also if you're watching this, either if you're watching the recorded version or the live version, you are absolutely, that is right there. That is my real cell phone number. If you text it, I will answer. That is me. So feel free to reach out. Even if you're watching the recorded version of it, please reach out. I don't have enough friends to justify you not talking to me, so please do so. Or of course you can use the live chat feature or comment on the episode once it's been published. We do keep an eye on our comments and what's going on. So please talk to us. But what I wanted to talk today about, Will, was this beauty right here, the Medicare
Yeah.
Agent Success Playbook. This is something that you've actually worked really hard on. You published, and we are just freshly getting it onto our website. Now, for everybody here, most of these tools and resources that we have, I don't know that I've seen one that is so much of like a to-do book like this. This is a like, if you say these words, you will have success. If you follow this process, you will have success. It's not just this vague like idea. It's truly like a guidebook, a playbook. I mean, I guess that's what the title implies. So that's really exciting. But you kind of, when I said like, hey, I really want to cover this, you said that this was kind of like a midnight brainchild or something that you thought of like a 9 p.m., which for a lot of us,
Yeah.
9 p.m. might as well be midnight. What made you want to
Mhm.
come up? What is the Success Playbook, and
Mhm.
what inspired you to draft it?
Yeah, I think the to kind of set the framework for what the success playbook is it covers everything from the basics of running an appointment all the way through some SEO tips for how to get found. And for those that don't live in alphabet soup like I do, that's search engine optimization. That's when people go to their Google machines and they type in Medicare agent near me.
Mm-hmm.
Are they seeing you? Is ChatGPT telling them to call you, as we have some of our agents getting these days? So
Yeah, that's
running
crazy that
appointments.
ChatGPT is now advertising for agents and using SEO to help promote
Yeah.
agents.
I had
So
a great friend of ours who told me he had two referrals last week from the chat machine. Yeah.
maybe the
So
robots aren't so bad. Of course, last
it's
week's episode we talked all about AI and how agents can use
yeah.
AI, so more to come on that. But sorry, Will, I interrupted you because I thought that was neat.
Absolutely. It's here whether we want it to be or not, I think
Mm-hmm.
is kind of where we're all at on that. All the way through cross-selling, how to handle objections, and marketing strategies that work. So it's something that whether you're just getting started out, you can have a great reference point and know
Yeah.
that if I follow these things, I'm going to be successful all the way through. Like, hey, I can run an appointment. Maybe I don't know how to cross-sell very well. Maybe I don't do very
Yeah.
good at it. All the way to I just need to know more people need to find me without spending a dime on
Yeah.
what I do.
So I think it's pretty obvious how it would help an agent who's newer. I say 2 or less years, right? Agents who are
Yeah.
still trying to finesse their strategy and kind of learn from mistakes of previous agents. How does
Yeah.
this playbook help? Sorry, you're getting dizzy watching how it turns. How does this playbook help agents who are not new, who are maybe just wanting to stay and update and who feel like they have a system and process down but just need, like, what can they get out of this?
Yeah, I think the great thing about agents utilizing this that have a system in place is, let's be honest, systems can always use a little bit of tweaking,
Mm-hmm.
right? If we're not continuing to think about your iPhone, for example, when you start to run behind on updates, does it get a little laggy?
A little bit.
I yeah, just I
A
know
little
our
bit.
laptops here do
No,
at the
literally,
office.
our
I know.
laptop, if I have anything going wrong and I have to tell IT, hey, my computer's broken, the first question they ask is, when was your last update? And I'm like, that's a
Correct.
personal question. You're not allowed to ask that. And apparently they are.
They are. And it is crucially important, as I'm learning as well, the days when mine lags. But the reason that I tie that together is it should never be a final process. Your sales appointment should always kind of continue to be fine tuning to look for the next level. I think we'd be lying to ourselves if
Yeah.
we said the Medicare space isn't getting more competitive as well. There's more and more people diving in. There's more people that are hitting the phones every day to try to help these consumers. And so if we're not fine tuning our processes just even a little bit every day, incremental progress over time will do wonders for your
Yeah.
business.
Good
So
point.
you may have a great agency, but that doesn't mean that there's not room for more growth.
Yeah. Beautiful. And if you are watching this and you're watching the chat, usually materials like this, we give a lot away for free. We don't make you buy the cow before we give away a lot of our milk. However, most of the stuff are big things like this, are big boys. We keep behind passwords so that you have to have a contract with
Yeah.
mom and dad, aka senior marketing specialist, in order to get access to these like true tools. Like we'll put out content, but like tools we put behind because again, like buy the dang cow, take a contract with us. This one, because if you're watching or a fan of Medicare Cafe, Senior Marketing Specialist is making this handbook available to anybody who is on the cafe watching this episode. It is
Let's
in the link
go.
here on live chat, so you do have access to. Hopefully you are an agent with Senior Marketing Specialist. If you're not, like, this is one of the
What
things
are we
that we
doing?
offer, and we just have, and Will is one of the things that we offer. Speaking of free cows and milk, and we are super excited to be able to make this available. We don't do this very often. So, Will, I'm going to go through this a little bit and just like want to ask you some questions about the content, because again, like I said, like there is stuff that if you start reading it this morning, you will do better in your appointments this afternoon. So,
Yep.
again, as you mentioned, what's inside, it was running a compliant Medicare appointment. I think that's Medicare Advantage. As I was reading through it, looks like it's geared more towards Medicare Advantage,
Yep.
but compliant across the board. Cross-selling hospital indemnity and cancer insurance, handling objections without breaking a sweat, and marketing strategies that actually work. Then SEO for tips to get found in your local market. So let me start here. Let's
Yep.
get into I was reading a note. There's a little section here that's like a note before you dive into it, and it has like a nice little thing like, here's how to use the playbook. This is a phrase that you put in here that I love. It says, the best agents we've seen aren't the ones with the most product knowledge. They're the ones who show up consistently, connect with people genuinely, and have a system they trust. This guide is that system. So tell me a little bit more about like that thought process, because in my experience, I have talked to agents that know more than I do about a product. Know more than I've been
Yeah.
doing this for 13 and a half years. They know more about a lot of this than me. They have zero sales. Tell me a little bit about why that happens.
Yeah, I think there's a knowledge trap that we can get caught up in this industry where consumer or where agents feel like consumers have to know every in and out of
Yeah.
every detail, or maybe agents like they have to know every in out, nitty gritty, up, down, left, right of something before they can talk about it. And the reality is our consumers need to know that you're on the same side of the table as them. They need to know that their concerns are heard, that they're felt, and that they're founded. And it's at the end of the day, not always about what you know.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing that you can give, and I live by this, is, hey, great question. I don't know the answer to that, and I don't want to speak out of turn.
Yeah.
Let me do some research and get back to you. And that's going to go leaps and bounds further than just rattling off something off the top of your head and kind of drowning them in
Yeah.
knowledge and jargon.
Yeah. I made a noise during your presentation or during your speak. It wasn't because I was upset. My wearing shoes that are too tight. And they have to go. My feet hurt and it was distracting. Sorry. I just wanted the world to know I wasn't rolling my eyes at you. I was rolling my eyes at my fashion choice. Let's get into the first section, talking about running a compliant sales appointment. I literally was like, I
Yeah.
don't want to read this part. And the first line of this says, a lot of agents hear compliance and their eyes glaze over. I'm like, quite literally what's happening. As I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about compliance in a sales podcast, but like so true. You put on here just kind of like, we talk about the 8-step selling process. Everybody has their own. I preach an 8-step. You have in here
Yep.
a 7-step. Agents, download this, go through these 7 steps. But step 3 was your needs assessment. So when you're talking
Mhm.
about doing a compliant, this was based on how to make sure that you were covering things compliantly, right? You're still
Yep.
combining sales with doing it the right way. Number 3 was needs assessment. And you found that it was so important to talk about needs assessment that you actually broke out in a separate area how to do a needs assessment. Why do you feel like in compliance, doing a proper
Mhm.
needs assessment is so important? And compliantly speaking, we know sales speaking, but like compliantly speaking.
Yeah, compliantly speaking, when we look at what drives the importance at the end of the day, and we'll talk Medicare Advantage for a second on this, but star ratings are a big driver at the end of the day to Medicare Advantage, plan design, benefit funding, the whole 9 yards. And an aspect of that is making sure that people are in the right fit where they need to be. And so if our consumers are not in a plan that actually is a good fit for them, meds covered, doctors in network, has what they actually need and not just being sold for the fluff or for the extras.
Sure.
Doing that full needs analysis is a compliance protection for you because then should also be minimizing the risk of any complaints, any calls to the carriers with confusion, any potential complaints to Medicare as well.
So in this, you're actually, like I said, because it's a true guidebook, a playbook, you're actually giving transitional phrases of here's how some things you can say to do a
Hmm.
proper needs assessment. By needs assessment, we just mean fact finding. Now,
Yeah.
whenever I teach needs assessment, fact finding, I'm a forms girly. I love a good form. I run like a doctor's office. Like you get a form, same form every time.
Hmm.
You don't have that on here. You have it more conversational. So
Yeah.
like what is your perspective of a good fact finding? Are you pro conversation over a form, or what's your feelings and thoughts? Could get controversial. I do have a
For
bone to
me,
pick with you later. So just so you know,
okay.
prepare your oven mitts. No, prepare your boxing gloves. I do have a bone to pick with you, but we may not be there yet. Tell me your thoughts on
Okay.
forms versus questions.
So me personally, I'm conversation.
Okay.
For me, that it feels more natural in
Mhm.
the flow of an appointment or in the flow of gathering information. It's just to ask more questions. I always got told growing up I have two ears and a mouth for a reason, and that's to listen more than I speak. I don't do a very good job of living by that to these days. Those that know me know I yap a
Who
lot,
doesn't?
but
Sales, that's our problem. We like to talk.
yeah. But for the broker and for the agent, I'm pro whatever works for you. If you feel like you need that form to keep you on pace, keep you on schedule, and keep you on target, by golly, please, we've got a wonderful form. If you haven't seen ours, check out ours. But I'm pro conversation for myself.
Oh, you're too pure. By golly. Shucks. I love it. Okay. Um, I like that. I think there's more than one way to be successful in doing this. Our
Yeah.
style and who we are, as long as you follow this general process and these steps and you have a process that is a
Hmm.
repeatable thing, I don't care how it's done as long as you're able to check off your list of things you can do. I'm a forms
Yep.
girly, you're a conversational guy. We can still be friends. We'll allow it. Let's
Good.
get into my favorite part of people who are. I am a type B personality with type A tendencies, which means I want to be productive, but my attention span will simply not allow it. And you
Yeah.
have something on here for those of my viewers, a disclosure checklist. That is
Yeah.
something that I would love and now have because it's like there's just too I the logistics and
Yeah.
the somebody slapping my wrist if I don't say something correctly. This right here is just like if this then this. If this happens, you say this. For compliance speaking, well done. And it's very comprehensive. It says what is the disclosure, what do you have to say, when and the process you have to say that. So just 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. The next section I have is going to be the cross selling. Why did
Hmm.
there's a million products to cross sell, right? You
Million.
specifically talk about hospital indemnity and cancer insurance. Why is that?
A couple of facets. So I'll start with the cancer insurance side of the discussion. Look, I think there's no hiding around the statistics that we all hear every day.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, one in two men at some point in their life are going to face a cancer diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived it. My dad had prostate cancer. My mother-in-law had breast cancer. Both had to go through numerous rounds of treatment on both of those. We know a lot of people in our personal lives and even here at our office that have lived it
Mm-hmm.
as well. Most of the, or, a large majority of the costs are non-medical. We may have great health insurance, but travel, time off of work, pet boarding, whatever you need,
Yeah,
the last thing that you should be worried about is how am I going to pay for this? It should be just focusing on getting better.
very
Almost
true.
everyone that we interact with has had an experience. If we're not at least talking about these products and educating our consumers that they exist, I think we're missing a gap. Hospital indemnity, I think, is easier to sell now than ever before. There are a lot of carriers now that are guaranteed to issue 64 and a half to like 75 on our consumer basis where we don't even need to ask health questions.
Right.
Medicare Advantage is now north of 50% of the enrollment market. And I don't remember the last statistic I saw of how few people out there have a hospital indemnity plan, but
Oh, we
it's
see the numbers. It's
minuscule.
minuscule and it's like irresponsible at this point.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that might have been
And
controversial, but
as we see the adjustments to MA plans every year, and as we're a couple of years out from, I think that those waters kind of leveling, those plans are going to continue to be rocky every single year as far as what's changing, what's going up, what's maybe leaving from a benefit design. If you can sell them a hospital indemnity plan and kind of cover a little bit of that buffer for them. You may also minimize how much you have to rewrite your MA clients every
Oh,
year, which
true.
saves a lot of people time.
Yeah, if you already have a solution, their copay goes up, but they already have a solution in place, they're less worried about that copay because they're still getting it covered. Which is why we recommend if somebody has like a $300 copay on a Medicare Advantage plan for a hospital stay, don't write the hospital indemnity for $300. Leave some cushion in there so that
Yeah.
you can, so there is a period where they're still going to be covered no matter what. So, great
Yeah.
point.
And I hear it from a lot of agents of like, well, if it's 500 a day and they can't afford that, should I just sell them nothing? And the answer is no.
Mhm.
Something is better than nothing. If you
Something's
can
better
take
than
that
nothing.
risk from 500 a day down to 200 a day and
Yeah.
cover 300 for them, that's a way better spot for that client to be in.
For sure. That's great. It's not all or nothing. We get to, like,
Right.
as agents, we get to build plans from the ground up. Yes, we have these
Yeah.
Medicare Advantage plans or Medicare supplement plans that we have to work within the confines. But outside of that, we get to truly customize plans based on budgets, lifestyle needs, everything in
Yep.
between. And it's not a one size fits all. It never should be a one size
No.
fits all. So here's where I have beef. Are you ready?
Yeah. I'm
You and
ready.
I'm going to see how passionate that you are because I have recently found out I'm very passionate about this. Did not know it until this moment.
Okay.
You have it whenever we're talking about doing the cross sell. You have the
hmm
cross sell at the end of the appointment.
hmm
I, again, multiple ways. I hate the phrase lots of ways to skin a cat. Who thought of that? Where did that come from? So we're not going to say that. There's lots of ways to accomplish them. Somebody give me a better way of saying there's multiple
Yeah, I
ways
don't
to
like the
create.
skin the cat
Why,
analogy.
where
As
did
a
that
cat
come
owner,
from? Where did that
I'm
come
out
from?
on that.
Anyways, some sick people out there, Will. So I am a big proponent of you cross sell throughout the entire thing. I equate it to
hmm
if you go to a store like a J.C. Penney's, again, that's how dated my reference is. But if you go to a department store, you buy an outfit while you're checking out, they say, oh, do you want some shoes with that? Or, hey, I have some jewelry over here. You're already checking out. Like you've mentally moved
Sure.
on. You are not, you're out of that shopping mind state. So I like to make sure it's sold throughout. Thank you, Sean. Throughout, Sean says, keep the cats out of it. And I couldn't agree more, Sean. I
Yes.
like to really, I don't close the appointment or start an application until the full
hmm
benefit package is presented.
Yeah.
You are the opposite. You say you present all the solutions. You do the Medicare appointment. Then once the Medicare appointment has a pretty bow on it, then you
hmm
start introducing additional products. Tell me a little bit about your thought process
Yeah. So I think it's important if you're going to do it that
with a little
way
bit more
to set the
passion because
stage.
I'm heated about this and you're not. So
Set the stage up front with the client. If you going into the needs analysis, if you have a really good feel for, okay, this is going to be a Medicare Advantage consumer. Maybe there's, premium averse, we don't travel, they don't want to pay $180 a month for their plan G. If you have a pretty good feel for the route that consumer is going to go,
mhm,
set the stage up front of I'm going to review providers' prescriptions. We're going to make a couple Medicare Advantage plan recommendations. Once we've gotten that taken care of and tidied up for you, I want to talk about how we can solve for some of the gaps that Medicare Advantage does once we get that appointment done and submitted. So you can set the scene early, get them through all of that, answer all of their questions, and then you say, hey, remember those gaps that we talked about before we enrolled into this? You've got a $500 a day hospital stay. If you go in for 3 days and we have a $1,500 bill, what's
mhm.
your plan to pay
Okay.
for that?
So you're filling out the application so that so we are actually kind of on the same page. You're filling out the application as part of the sales process. You're basically, as you're going through it and going through the benefits and going through everything, you're using and having the application at that time. That filling out the application is not signifying the end of the appointment.
Correct.
Okay. So that makes sense. I think it's like, again, I think there's a lot of different feelings on how, depending on how
Yeah.
you go through an application, because even in your 7-step process, you talk about like at this point, you really need to start going through the benefits and going through, things like that.
Yep.
So that makes sense for a lot of it, I think. But what you said up front is set the expectations. Really, and like when we do our 8-step appointment process, one of the first steps is set the expectation, set the stage, let them know
hmm
what the next 30 minutes to an hour is going to
Yes.
look like for them. So that makes sense. Expectations cure everything, even when you're wrong. I'm just kidding. Will, you're not wrong. It's just different. And I think I love having people like yourself on here who you are an active selling agent. You do have clients you are selling. How different people find success. It's super beneficial because there isn't one way to
Yeah.
do it.
No.
Couple other things you have on here because it is almost 10:30 and we are only on section 3 of like 6 sections. I do want to say the next thing you have on here is handling objections. I
Yeah.
love you have a script here and I want to read it of like when somebody gives you an objection. I love this phrase. It says, "I completely understand how you feel. Honestly, a lot of my clients have felt that exact same way initially." I think that's so good of saying, like, I'm on your side of the table. I'm not pushing
Yep.
product at you. If you say no, I'm not going to be a person that you have to tell me no 7 times. I'm going to be a person that's like,
Hmm.
hey, I hear you, but let me explain why you're wrong. No, let me explain why other consumers and my other clients initially felt that way and then what they've
Hmm.
learned since talking to me. I think that's a
Yep.
really conversational and just like I'm your friend, I'm not your insurance agent. Like I'm not pushing product.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely trying to advise you and do what's right for you.
Yep. And I talk about it a little bit in the next one of like the I need to think about it. This comes
Mhm.
up a lot when we talk about the additional necessary products such as cancer or hospital indemnity. You may not get that sale right then and there. A lot of times it's, yeah, let me think about it. What we found is that a lot of times that's really just coming down to there's something they're still not quite confident
Yeah.
in with it, or maybe they're not understanding with it. And so, you know, what is it that you're still working through? Hey, what do you feel like I didn't cover with it? Or what questions
Mhm.
are still lingering or important aspects to tackle of that? I still need to think about it.
Yeah. I think what you do really well here is you say, here's what the objection is, but here's what they're really saying. So like you have on here, one was, I'll just wait till next year, right? That's a real objection. We've all heard that, like, hey,
Yeah.
let's just go ahead and get the Medicare stuff figured out. This cancer insurance stuff, we'll just hang out till next time, right? And so what you have on here, let's just wait till next year. What's usually behind it, create an appropriate sense of urgency without pressure. So it helps you identify. And here's the thing to keep in mind when it comes to this. The first step when it comes to overcoming objection is truly identifying what that objection is. So
Yep.
many times the objection that they give you is nowhere near. Like they might say, oh, I think it's just, that might be out of my budget. That might just, I think that costs too much. Well, is that true? You have to ask the appropriate questions. Be like, no, are you just trying to blow off and like get to the next portion of like, well, let me think about it. Let me think about it. They're not gonna think about it. The second they step out of your door or turn off your computer,
They're
hang up the
never
phone,
thinking about it
they're
again.
not going to think about that
No.
again. 100%. So identify what that real objection is, and that way that's the only way you can really tackle it. Until then you're just like womp 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 when they're in their ear and they're just trying to move on with the appointment. The marketing that actually works, section 4, you have some really great like grassroots marketing talking about how to build a referral engine, how both of
Mhm.
your clients and of course strategic partnerships. How do you
Yep.
use these objections that you hear with that? You don't have anything. Oh, I don't know. Maybe you do. I was looking at it quickly. You don't have anything on here about like purchase leads. What are your thoughts on purchasing leads, and is that something you purposely excluded from this guide?
So my thoughts on purchasing leads are it's not a one size fits all. I think the biggest frustration that I hear from brokers when they start diving into buying leads is I always get the feedback of the consumers are confused or they didn't know what they were opting into or the evergreen quote of these leads suck or these were bad leads or what have you there. It takes a really unique person to sit, dial the phones and just work leads all day long. And I think there's better spots to put your money. I think if you just need to try to turn some quick appointments, they can be an avenue for you, but I would really encourage an agent to look at not just their next like 3 months, but the next 9, 12, and 18 months for how do we want to be building our brand and our business and where do we want our consumer bases to be coming from?
I would also like to formally apologize to Alex. What happened was you're giving this beautiful explanation, Will. I have Walmart delivery coming to give me lunch at my office, and they were calling me because they arrived early. and the phone
Ah,
call ended the meeting. And then at next thing you
that's okay.
know, Will's picture went crazy. So thank you, Will, for your understanding. And this is Walmart's fault, not my fault. This is Walmart's
Absolutely.
fault. Last, again, there's so much good stuff on here. You talk about digital marketing, you talk about SEO, you talk about all this
Hmm.
stuff that is how do agents, free or paid for, how do they use today's luxuries and
Yeah.
meet our seniors where they're at. I think that's huge. You do a lot of conversation about here about how we can't market the way that we did 5 years ago, 10 years ago. We
Hmm.
have to do what we're doing today and
Yeah.
what how are seniors interacting with us today. My final question, Will, is going to be your thoughts. We spent all last episode talking about agents using AI through Integrity
Hmm.
Connect, through other platforms. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on AI within an agency?
Yeah. So within an agency, I think there's a lot of use cases, and I think there's also some things to kind of be mindful of with it as well. So I'll start on the things to be mindful of. Be mindful of the information that you're putting into it and what you're feeding it. As we know, with large language models and LLMs, they self-feed based on everything that goes in. So please keep pertinent, PHI and HIPAA relevant information out of
Mm-hmm.
those platforms would be my advice. If you're going to be doing that, look for something that is a closed loop system, such as Ask Integrity within Integrity Connect. But there's a lot of great things that you can work with it on. Something that I've talked to some of our agency partners about is honestly use it for some sales training.
Yeah.
Give it some objections that you got that maybe you struggled with overcoming, and use it for some role play and some conversations. So you can use it to kind of refine some of your skills. I would
Sure.
always tell you, if you're using it for like blog post work, please double check the work, double check the statistics, make sure that they're
That's what
real
I'm
and that they're
using it
cited.
as.
I can't tell you how many stories I see in the news now of a lawyer caught in a legal briefing, in front of a judge of citing a false legal case and legal doctrine that doesn't actually exist because they were using AI
Sir,
to
that
build out
sounds
their
like a Law and
casework for
Order
them.
episode. I don't
Yeah,
think
it
that
should be
happened.
at this point. But double check if you're going to use it for work that requires statistics and actual, relevant and coherent information to be published. But I think a great tool, outside of the Ask Integrity and everything that it can do for you is some sales training of, I had this objection today. I didn't know what to say back. Help me workshop this.
I love that. So cool. Guys, thanks for joining us today on Medicare Cafe. Will, again, for everybody, our cafe listeners. Oh, that's my son. You want to see? That's us on a Ferris wheel. Not why you're here. If you please use the link, it's there available in the chat. Look at how many pages this is 19 pages of a true playbook on how to run a successful sales appointment and being compliant. How do you use SEO to build your agency? What are you doing to use grassroots marketing and lower your reliance on lead generation? How do you overcome objections? True grassroots, how do you grow in 2026 an agency? We have the full playbook for you here, created by, of course, our wonderful marketing team. They do such a great job of like just everything in between.
Shout
But
out
of course,
Alex and the crew.
yeah, 100%. Alex and the crew. Alex says that wasn't me. Twas not I. But our marketing team and of course Will for creating this playbook. Again, usually reserved just for senior marketing specialist agents, but we're feeling kind today, so we're giving
We
it
love the
to our
cafe.
Medicare
What can we
Cafe
say?
agents as well. Will, do you have any final thoughts, questions? Not final, just final for the show. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, threats, or promises you want to make sure our viewers see before we say goodbye?
No, like Olivia said, dive into this playbook, call us with questions, call us with how you want to implement it. Can't wait to have follow-up conversations. And just last note, Olivia, thanks for having me.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy. We've been talking about doing this for forever, but we really didn't know how to do a remote situation until I required the remote. It's really all about me at the end of the day. And the faster that we all get this figured out, the better we'll, I mean, like, look how far we've come. So,
Yeah.
Will, thank you. Thank you for joining. You are such a rock star. You do so much online. Guys, go and become friends with Will Pierce on LinkedIn. He's posting tons of content that is helpful, both for agents on how to keep your business open in 20 years, as well as how do I get more sales tomorrow. So, Will, thank you for your expertise. Thank you for your hard work and what you do for agents and what you do for the industry. So, Will, are you familiar with the sign off?
I'm not.
Okay.
Hit me with it.
So I say, and this is how we say goodbye. I say, oh, one more thing for our listeners. Not next week. Next week we are here. The week after that will be a recording where I have done an interview with the Ryan Kimball, president of Integrity
Ooh.
Health. So next week, sorry, you're stuck with me again. You will have me next week. But the week after that, it'll be the recorded episode with Ryan Kimball. And I say that just because he completely bombed the sign off. So Will, you have an opportunity to do better than the ad. Okay. So I say, until next time, I say have fun. You say
Mhm.
make money. And then we both
Okay.
say and give impeccable service.
Okay.
Okay. Ready?
Okay. Yep.
So until next time, have fun
Make money
and
and
give
give
impeccable service.
Oh, just missed the cadence.
I didn't even say it correctly. Honestly, that was a fail on all of us. Well, thank you. Love you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Gotta go get my Walmart.